Hello, everyone. Blue Star Saber here once again to discuss another Percy Jackson and the Olympians, season 2, episode 8. The Fleece works its magic too well. This episode is basically following the last one, in which Percy, Grover, and Tyson, as well as Clarice in a more of a separate manner, tried to retrieve the Golden Fleece from Luke, as he took that as well as Annabeth to try and heal Kronos. Here, throughout the thing, we see a bit of conflict between Luke and the show's original character, Allison Sims, about how to use the fleece and as well to Annabeth's well-being, as Luke wants to save her. But she considers Annabeth a traitor, and then under Kronos' orders tries to kill her later, which results in Clarice saving her first before prioritizing the fleece, which eventually Percy gets, and they're having a bit of a clash with Luke. Along the way, he rescues Blackjack the horse and gives Clarice to do that, while Kronos orders Luke to destroy Camp Half-Blood. That's the basic summary of the last episode, but now we're here where, from what the promos and most of the show has shown, that this is going to be mostly an episode based on an original final battle that was not in the books. How much changes this final will do? Well, we'll have to wait and see. But anyway, on to the actual episode. The episode once again begins showing the flashback of when Luke, Thalia, Grover, and Annabeth were escaping the Furies, with Thalia telling Thalia staying behind, but a bit more added context of Luke to protect their surrogate sister Annabeth while she goes to deal with fight the Furies, if you will, and reflecting on that this is going to be part of this flashback's going to have more details to come. Though granted, at the time I thought it was just rehashing what we already knew, but we follow Percy and the gang as they are being driven by Sally Jackson to head to Camp Half-Blood, where they're talking about what's going to be happening with Thalia turning, but Sally notices that there's something wrong with Percy. She seems to but before anything can be done, they spot Blackjack, which Percy recognizes of course, the Pegasus, though she, of course, is sort of Sally's kind of okay, my son knows this horse and says you guys have matured quite a lot and all that stuff as a result of this part. But yeah, during this part, she learns about the great prophecy from the three of them, as since Thalia's return means that Percy might not be the hero of the great prophecy, and this is something that Sally didn't really know about. Percy returns and tells them that she never made it to the tree. I think she spotted I believe took off on foot when she saw, I think, an army of Latsogarian giants, or when she realized the barrier broke down or something. But so basically, they decide that they need to now continue on foot. Sally tries to go along, but Percy stops her from doing so because he remembers last time, last year, that he was around this place that he thought he lost his mother with the Minotaur, and he doesn't really want to lose her again, so he tells her to just stay out of it, which she reluctantly does so. So we get our campers head off as Percy says goodbye to his mother. We then cut back to Tantalus, who's trying to get the campers to work on the chariots. They're basically the Morales. They're not enthusiastic about it. He tries to get them to brag about his time as a great chariot before he became a king. Then we have Chris, who talks about another attack from the giants, and they need to call for more security. But Tantalus refuses, saying that they know nothing about real sage, and finally he's able to pick up a turkey leg, thinking that the gods have finally relieved his curse, and thinking it's a sign that he's right. But unfortunately for him, one of the Styrian giants, Ritzy, had once again gone through the barrier, launched a fireball, and it ended up, killing Tantalus for the second time, as he like curses and all that stuff. But yeah, as campers with Ritzy start to run away. Meanwhile, at the camp, Ritzy borders, you have Bronte, the daughter of Athena, that's original to the show, Ritzy having the archers try and defend against the giant hordes that doing a siege. As Ritzy, Percy, and the group arrive, Ritzy with Annabeth showing concern for her Ritzy's sister, if you will. But then Tyson hears a sound, and it sees a bunch of trucks and vans arriving, as it's basically Luke and his army, with Alice, with him, Ritzy mouthing Ritzy Luke, and whoever else is there. Although, of course, we do get an up close of them as well. As Alison is like saying that they need to destroy the tree, but Luke, Ritzy thinks that if they can revive Thalia, Ritzy, she can be their sort of like key to their victory, as it needs, there's a need like a sort of demigod of the big three to turn against the gods in order to make the prophecy go in their favor. And which sort of worries, I think, Percy and maybe Annabeth to some extent. But of course, Annabeth is insistent that Ritzy, but I think Annabeth is insistent that Percy, that Annabeth, I'm pretty sure, is insistent that Thalia would not do this. But anyway, but we see that Clarice makes it to like one of the to the forest with the Golden Fleece. She gets hit nearly by an hour by a original character called Katie Ewan, who is a demigod, but we have no idea who her godly parent is, though. Given the fact that she's an archer, if I had to guess, she is a daughter of Apollo. Let's see. And at first she thinks Clarice was a giant, but apologized when she realizes it. Chris then informs her about like about the situation at camp, and she gets like the demigods to be sort of like her escort to get back so they can hail the fleece. Meanwhile, while this is going on, Percy and Annabeth are sort of arguing about whether or not Thalia will be on the side of Olympus, since she was like Luke's friend as well. But Annabeth believes that Thalia will make the right choice. And just before they are able to split up and do their plan of like getting, I think, Grover and Annabeth to find the fleece, while Percy and Tyson try to warn camp, they are trapped by an escort unit by a demigod called Ellis, which there's no wiki page on, but and there's no idea whose demigod I think parent he belongs to. Though if I had to guess, given how he seems to be upset about Annabeth trying to steal Clarice's quest, I have to guess that he is like a son of Ares. But Percy is trying, of course, that but Percy, of course, decides that, all right, rather than fight them, tells them to take us to Tantalus, but learns at Tantalus's desk, asking who's in charge. And of course, it's Daedalus, or Mr. D, if you will, as he's singing a bunch of songs before the campers. Ellison takes Percy and the others to there, where Percy tries to warn them, but Daedalus is like indifferent, and if Clarice is back with the Golden Fleece, their quest is almost nearly over and they'll be safe. But Percy ends up revealing to everyone in the room that Cronus is returning, which sort of annoys Daedalus, but then Percy tries to does a rallying speech about saying that all the stories about, the demigods that we've heard about, we think they're going to be them and not us, but no, it's us. We need to now prepare to become these new legends and all that stuff. Rallying like all the demigods ready to fight for the upcoming battle, if you will. And ready to fight. And we have like Luke, we go back to like the borders of the camp where I believe Bronte with the demigods is trying to like continue to deal with like the siege, but Luke and his group goes forwards, and they overwhelm like the guards. And then Luke starts to let one of the giants in as no, granted, I'm getting a bit ahead of it myself, because while this is going on, Chris tries to tell Clarice while they're walking that he believes that there might be some spies within camp for Luke. He tries to convince her that it might be Katie because of how she nearly attacked him. Then tries to interrogate her, say show the bowl and all that stuff, and this confuses her. She does not believe that and saying no, she's no traitor. But then Chris suddenly orders his fellow campers to attack the other demigods, as he reveals to be himself a traitor, as he thinks that Luke has already had his back. Tries to get the fleece from Clarice. Eventually leads to a bit of a chase. Sort of wounding each other a bit. Eventually Faria is overpowered by all the demigods, by the chariot race, with Clarice sort of mocking her for not having any friends. But she ends up saying that she does actually have friends, as Annabeth and Grover arrive to rescue her, and they grab the fleece, knocking out the demigods. So, but yeah, as they try to head back to the borders of camp. Meanwhile, Luke, as I was trying to say earlier, takes Bronte and the other demigods hostages, and as he begins to let the giants in, but only one gets in before Percy and with Tyson leading an army of campers prepare to defend their home. About in shores, you see demigods fighting each other, with one giant in amongst the mix. The others just trying to get through the barriers, but it's not working. And eventually, Luke ends up coming across to pass with Percy, having a bit of a brawl. It gets very intense, especially when at first Percy's managed to disarm Luke, but then Luke is able to grab Percy and then constantly pummel him in the face until Tyson blocks it with his trident and throws Luke far aside to protect Percy. As I should mention that before Luke tries to before Tyson saves Percy. Luke tries to tell Percy he was never meant to be the hero, but as this is going on, Annabeth and Grover and Clarice arrive, but Alison uses her bow to shoot Annabeth in the shoulder, sort of her making them lose control of the Stranulet, and then she begins to order her fellow demigods on the Kronos Titan's side to take down Faria's tree. As Annabeth tells Percy to save the tree, not focus on her. And Percy realizes he doesn't really have a chance, though part of you wonders, given Percy's doubt, you wonder if he really wants to save Falia or not, but arguably it does, and he trusts Clarice to do it with a javelin, and she throws the javelin with the fleece on at the tree, and this revives Falia, if you will, as everyone's in shock, as Falia cries the word never, and lightning bursts out, and it sort of hits Percy, and the two of them are knocked out, if you will. So, they're passed out, and then Percy is in a dream with his father waiting, and realizes that he's dreaming, and then he explains that the war between the Titans and the gods is inevitable. It's going to need all the help he can get, and Tyson, and he's referring to, of course, Tyson, as he's offering him an internship at Hephaestus Underwater Forges, which, of course, Tyson accepts as a way of repaying his father for answering his prayers, which Percy is wondering about, which he reveals that he was praying for a friend. Granted, never really mentioning, I think, the Sphinx, because you get the sort of into the scar thing, but it's never really brought up. Tyson reveals that he prayed to the gods to give him a friend, but they gave him a brother, and this seems to this seems like at this point Tyson and is finally arguably accepted that Tyson's his brother, though I think he did so before. As Tyson leaves from his dream, and after saying goodbye to Percy, if you will, Percy ends up asking his father about the great prophecy. With Percy wondering if this is like what you just had me in the first place, but Poseidon says that there are some things more powerful than the gods, fate and love, and it's very much implied that he had Percy out of love, as rather than like because he was destined for some prophecy, if you will. And then telling Percy to never underestimate himself, and when hearing the words never, Percy realizes that that's what Thalia said and wondered to his father what she meant. And it seems like Poseidon realized something and then tells his son to brace himself as the dream ends. He wakes up. He's in a bed next to Thalia, but who hasn't woke up? But Grover and Annabeth are there explaining the details. They tease him a little bit about him drooling in his sleep and how Luke's forces have retreated. Chiron has been reinstated as camp director. And Thalia's still unconscious. They'll then head to the big house where Clarice has got a bit of a hero's welcome. And she's now been put in charge of a strike team who train demigods for the upcoming war, with Percy congratulating her on their quest. She leaves with the new trainees, saying that you could use her help along the lines, but minus Grover. But Grover said he's got his own quest. And Clarice seems to be having a hard time trying to thank Percy, so Percy just tells her to say, just shut up, Jackson, and she does so. It's seemingly at this point the two have finally become friends. Chiron, greets, of course, our trio, but then confesses that he has something to tell them, as he can no longer necessarily follow the will of the gods, and and he does care for the demigods and thanks them and all that stuff. And it's time he wants to tell them what actually happened to Thalia that night at camp, as he was a witness there against Thalia's thing. And we get the flashback where it looks like at first Chiron is about to shoot arrows at the Furies, as it looks like Chiron's trying to help Thalia, but then it learns that they're actually telling her something. All three are struck down by lightning, and here appears Zeus, trying, as they have a bit of a talk, where Thalia does not want to, as he tells Thalia not to listen to them, but she's basically not, but basically knows about the great prophecy and wants the truth and all that stuff. And Zeus wants her to be sort of like a weapon against Kronos, but she refuses. He never wants to do that. So he sort of turns her into a tree. And then Chiron reveals he was ordered not to Zeus ordered him not to tell anyone. And instead of being an act of mercy, it was in fact a punishment. Which shocks our trio. And when he also reveals when Annabeth told him about the quest for the Golden Fleece, he feared that his father would use it. Oh yeah, he did apologize for not telling him about his connections to Kronos sooner, but he's being more honest now. But when he told him that Kronos wanted to raise it, he would use it to raise his champion. He thought that it might be going after Percy, but now he realizes that actually he now thinks it's Thalia, which Annabeth and Percy and Grover realize the same thing. And then suddenly Thalia shows up and looking for Annabeth, and you see the two reuniting, and she realizes that Annabeth has grown. And then she asks for Luke, since she's unaware that Luke has betrayed the gods, as everyone is reluctant to really answer her, and Percy realizes that now Kronos has no chance to control the prophecy, and wondering if his dream vision might actually come true, as he realizes that he is going to have a very complicated future relations, not the romantic sense, with Thalia. Ending the episode, though, we get two post-credit things. One of a tease of season 3 of Percy and Annabeth dancing at Screw's prom, if you will, and another one where we see Cersei speaking to demigods at a resort about the new there'll be a new accelerated course that's only limited offer to our guests with limited seating, revealing that she's created statues of both Percy and Annabeth as they manage to get through the sirens, and arguably as a way of maintaining control of the island along with demigods, given the fact that she has now no choice but to make them martyrs, make them represented as heroes, because let's see, since they managed to get through, and as a result, let's see, this puts her entire program in jeopardy. So now she has to try and do this new accelerated one. Whether or not this gets the other more of these demigods to stay or leave, who knows? But it's a sort of way of tying into the episode that I do wonder how this will play out, given the fact that we know that her assistant Hila is supposed to eventually become Queen of the Amazons in season 2. So yeah. Overall, that's my thoughts on the episode, which I will admit I went a bit longer than I intended in the recap. So, yeah. All right, I will admit, at first I thought that the, the recap, let's see, when we first got the Thalia Luke flashback, I thought it was just an unnecessary repeat with maybe a little added context of Thalia telling Luke to go save Annabeth, but no. This is props tea before heading to the battle, because it's oh, we're going to actually see the battle, but oh no, we got to the intro. But nope, actually, this is more due to the twist, which arguably is a pretty clever thing to do. I'm going to get more into that twist later, but first I'm going to give my thoughts on some other stuff. I do like how, let's see, Sally is just reacting to everything, such as her son befriending a Pegasus called the Blackjack, and learning that there's a great prophecy referring to the children of the Big Three. So it's she's learning that okay, everyone's going through a lot. So yeah, I am very curious to see if this will be delved more into the next season, if you will. I do like how Percy. I do like how Percy and her have a bit of a conversation where she wants to go with Percy, but Percy doesn't want her to, just because of what happened last season. I mean, last season with when they were last on the borders of camp. So I do like how Percy just says could you just stay out of this just for my benefit? And I do like, even though Sally's reluctant, she accepts her son's decision because she realizes she doesn't really want to put her son through any sort of trauma. So I thought that was a nice moment. So yeah, Tantalus, I don't know, I guess I will admit I do prefer the book version of the Iris messaging, Luke not realizing that Percy is setting him up to confess to poisoning the tree and clearing Chiron's name, if you will. It is a bit of a shame that we didn't get to see Dinah saying, your services are no longer needed. And he's like, no! And as he finally grabs the burger, only for to sink. Arguably, this still sort of works, but I know, the sort of... but I sort of missed the sort of chance of just seeing the campus just being excited that he's now finally gone, as showing just how much they hated him. But I suppose it works. I suppose it still shows it works in a sense when you see the campers. Let's see, he's forcing to fix the chariot, and they really dislike doing so because let's see, camp safety and all that stuff. With Tantalus trying to brag about his own chariot skills, about how he dealt with a sage compared to him. But I do like how, at the very least in the spirit, the show still does have him finally pick up a piece of food, only to be killed. But only to be killed before he could actually eat it. So he's likely to continue his punishment and all that stuff. So without being able to eat the food. So I do like that. Granted, given the fact that we revealed that Chris, of course, is a traitor, I do wonder if he let that giant in just to take out Tantalus and disorganize leadership even more. But either way, it's just more just to find a way to take it out. So, but yeah. Anyway, we got a bunch of new, more original demigods in this episode. Katie, and I believe his name is what's his name? Ellis. Granted, we do not know their parents. Granted, I am curious if Katie's dead or alive, because, well, if so, that might help determine whether, let's see, she might she'll either be playing the part of like one of the other Apollo kids you see in the later books, or who knows, she might just be a source of conflict between Clarice and Chris later down the line. But yeah. Anyway, I do like how she had that little joke about Ritzy thinking that Clarice was a giant, but let's see, but yeah. Anyway, I did know. Let's see, I was hoping for that the show would show that Chris was actually a traitor, which I thought the way they were going to do it is that, he's just going to join it. He thinks that the camp's doomed, going to join the side, but nope. Turns out he feels like Chris has always been. Let's see, Luke has always had his back, so that's why he's betraying. Which I do like how he tries to. It's granted, I will admit the whole try and trick them that Katie Yoon is the traitor went by a bit quick. I wish you sort of had some like reaction of whether or not Clarice actually believed it or not, but no, it went by quickly, pretty fast. Granted, I am curious, given the way that you had Chris betrayed Clarice in this episode. I am curious to see how it will affect their dynamic later on, because we do know that in the Battle of Labyrinth, he's been which will be season 4. We know that he's been sent to try and maze out the thing, but Clarice found him. Oops, hold on, give me a pause. I've got a call. Sorry about that, everyone. I got a call from my mother. Let's see, as she just got back from a holiday and had to discuss a few things with me. So that's 3 minutes of video. Let's see. Oh boy. Let's see. So I'm gonna have to probably put a disclaimer to skip like 3 minutes or so on this. So let's see. Anyway, where was I? Oh yeah, I think I was talking about Clarice and let's see, Chris's relationship because oh yeah, the Battle of the Labyrinth, if you will. The Battle of the Lab. Let's see, we know that's when Chris sort of like changes sides after let's see, Clarice is taking care of him. I'm curious to see how this will play out because Chris is the only demigod from the books that was introduced that remained in like season 2, which I'll get more into that a bit later. But arguably, it was to build up this traitor arc because we know that he's like got a plot line with Clarice. I am curious to see how this will play out because at the moment it looks like with like Chris killing a demigod, possibly killing a demigod, Katie, which I assume. Let's see, if she's dead, that's going to cause some friction. Let's see what's between, I think, Chris and her, because it's like you lied to her about a traitor and then killed a fellow demigod. But if she's alive, let's see, that means he could come. Let's see, that means that he might be less forgiving. Though, granted, Katie might be a bit mad that Chris tried to kill him and all that stuff. But we'll have to wait and see regards to that. But yeah, other than that, as probably mentioned, other demigods. I'm a little disappointed that we never got the Still brothers, Bendoc, or even let's see, Serena, I believe. Let's see, show up in like this season because like they're the major demigods are introduced in the sort of like books, if you will. So that was a little disappointing to yeah. So let's see, that's a little disappointing to hear. But hopefully they'll appear in like the future seasons of the show. So given the fact that Serena, at the very least, Benedoc and Serena, at the very least, and now that Chris has betrayed the camp, they'll need the new Hermes cabin heads. So I'm hoping for something at least with them, but who knows? I do like how Clarice has finally sort of embraced that. Let's see, our trio have become her friends. When like Annabeth and Grover come to save her, and later when she's being rewarded by Chiron, let's see, to be leading of the demigods' training to prepare for defenses, asking, let's see, of course, Percy and Annabeth to come along. Let's see whenever they want to, and teasing Grover, not him, but Grover's like, I've got my own quest thing. And I do like how Percy have a nice moment where Percy just says, just to say shut up, Jackson, as a way of saying thanks, in which he does. So I thought that was well. I even like how Percy even trusts her to throw the javelin with the fleece in order to save it when it's in danger. So I think that is pretty good. So, but yeah, what else is there? Oh yeah, let's see, for this new demigod Ellis, I do like how he seems to be like being like reluctant to trust Percy others, but nevertheless takes them to like Dinas, which I do like how he's just like, oh, you're back and all that stuff. Confident that the gods don't need to interfere until Percy brings up Kronos. I do like Percy's rallying speech to the demigods to prepare for battle, and the fact that he's leading them along with Tyson against Luke's forces. So yeah. I do like how Luke seems to be having a bit of conflict with I guess Allison, who wants to take on the tree, but Luke is trying to tell her, no, keep it so we can bring back Thalia and she will be on our side, as we need to use it for the prophecy. I do like how he seems to let the giants in, but only one of them gets in, so it does make it feel kind of pointless that they were there. I would probably have liked it at least a few more of them got in and they took part in the battle at the very least. So there's that. For the battle, I think it was decent for what they could do. I mean, arguably, this battle is not as on this border is not as grand as the Battle of the Labyrinth or even Last Olympian, but I think that's fine. This is not This is only the second season. Granted, this might be due to show budgeting thing, but I'm fine with them not having too big of a battle, and it's a bit of a more battle between two sides of demigods at the moment. None of the monsters showing up. But I am hoping that the later seasons do have more monsters besides demigods before, so it's not like just like a demigod civil war, if you will. Granted, I will admit I am a little disappointed that Chiron and the party ponies didn't come in to try and save. Let's see, Percy's group and all that stuff. Though I do like how Tyson comes in, I guess, to an extent, showing just how much of a he's grown as a big brother and protector, and even having that trident of Poseidon, as all that stuff. But yeah, I will admit, I did like the fight between Percy and Luke a bit. Percy at least able to disarm Luke for a bit, but Luke being more aggressive, he punches him in the face. So I thought that went well. I will admit, I was a bit surprised that Alice Sims didn't end up fighting Khaleesi Annabeth, because I thought she might have been taken out as a one-season thing. But no, it looks like she's going to be a demigod for the long term. Though granted, as being like the second in command of the demigods, at the very least, I do wonder how she will play a role if Ethan Nakama comes along, given the fact that that's the sort of demigod that replaces Luke in the Battle of Labyrinth, if you will. But we'll have to wait and see in that regards. Granted, I was a bit disappointed that the battle ended once both Percy and Thalia were knocked out, when the fleece revived her and all that stuff, and she said never, and lightning struck and all that stuff, and then it's just like nothing. I felt it was a bit anticlimactic for this battle. I think I definitely would have preferred the party ponies coming in at the very least, and just as this is arriving, to at least give a hint of why Luke's forces retreated, because it's like centaurs are coming to save the day, but no, it's just like, oh, he's just been reinstated. So all of that. I'm a bit mixed on the dream. On one hand, I do like how Poseidon tells Percy that he had him for love, not because of fate or prophecy. I do like how he's like telling that he wants to recruit Tyson and all that stuff to come to the Forges, and Tyson feels depressed. But I wish they went a bit more in the backstory about the jinxes, given the scars. And well, I do like that he says goodbye to his brother. I'm sort of missing this. I sort of found it a bit disappointing that we didn't get to see Annabeth or Grover's reaction with Tyson leaving, because given the fact that we've seen them together for a couple of episodes, I would have liked to have seen that reaction. Though I do like both Annabeth and Grover saying Percy drools in his sleep and all that stuff. Now, I will admit, this is the biggest change I was a bit surprised that the show did with the books, and that's Chiron. Let's see, apologize. Let's see. Well, okay, maybe, okay. The whole Kronos thing, we had a bit of a hint before. I think the show, it was told before in the first episode of the season, and him apologizing. But the whole biggest, let's see, true thing is that this is the biggest change from the books, from the show, is the fact that, let's see, Thalia did not get taken down by the Furies, if you will. Instead, they actually told her about the prophecy. Zeus took him out. He tried to dismiss it at first, but then, of course, Thalia gets him to confess the truth about wanting to be used as a weapon and all that stuff, but she refuses to be his weapon. Let's see, trying to persuade her that she would be loved by everyone here, but of course, Thalia only cares about two demigods. And when she defies her father, and who's now being portrayed by the actor Courtney B. Vance, let's see, who has replaced, unfortunately, late Lance Redrick's passing. I think he does a fine job with what he got, with what he's been given with Zeus. It's a bit shame that the original actor had to pass away, but I mean, not outside that he unfortunately passed away. I doubt he chose to do that, but my bad, apologies. But let's see, I think he does a fine job of trying to be a father that's trying to persuade, but then gets furious and turns her daughter as a tree as a punishment. This is arguably the biggest change, as this shocks, of course, our trio and all that stuff. As this might have some very mixed feelings, but also realizing something, because let's see, earlier we have a bit of conflict between Percy and Annabeth, and Percy back, and I do like how Sally notices that Percy has concerns about Thalia's return and all that stuff. and you get like the sort of conflict between Percy and Annabeth, which I'll admit. Let's see, they didn't. Let's see, I will admit the show seems to have removed a lot of their conflict between Tyson at first and to some extent Luke, but here, let's see, this is they're making, I guess, adding it for more drama between the two, as Annabeth wants Percy to trust Valia, but let's see. But of course, Percy has his concerns due to what Annabeth said about Blitzy dreams, even though she tries to dismiss Percy's at this moment. But now it's like, okay, Percy might have some actual cause concern, and arguably, now that we know that Seuss actually turned on a tree because she defied him, let's see, Percy and the others realize that, and Chiron at first thought maybe Percy would be used as a weapon by Kronos turning like Percy against Olympus, but no, actually, let's see, they all realize that Thalia is his now ideal target because she actually has a very legitimate reason, which I'm very curious how they're going to play this out, because since this is different from the books, we know that Kronos wants to try and turn Thalia. Luke, let's see, tries to persuade her, but arguably, a little help with Percy. She's like, let's see, and seeing what Luke has become, she rejects. But now that this thing with Seuss has happened, she has a very more legitimate reason, which makes you wonder how they're going to play this out with the drama and whether or not she will actually do inside it. Of course, we know, if you read the books, you know what happens, but let's see. Arguably, this makes it a lot more tense on whether she will or not let's see, tell whether or not she will actually join Luke's side. Granted, like I say, if you know the books, you know that's not going to happen, but yeah. However, I will say let's see, I'm not sure how well this will play out with the future season. I guess we have to see what they do, but it is interesting to see that. Let's see, that aspect is there. But anyway, one thing I did like seeing that we didn't get in the show is that you actually get to see Thalia's reaction to Annabeth and how she's grown and all that stuff. So I did like seeing that. And we end up actually getting to see her asking what about Luke's fate, of course. Let's see. It's very much, it's given between the second and third book. This is all told to her off screen when she learns, let's see, when she's agreeing with Percy and when he doesn't realize that Thalia is her. Let's see, that he's talking to Thalia when everyone's realizing that the fleece worked too well. But then Percy realizes, oh, got a crowd and all that stuff. But we learn in the Titan's Curse, she learns that she lost Luke after when, let's see, talking to Percy when they lost Annabeth in the mission. So let's see, it's quite interesting to see how this will play out. But nope, she ends up asking that question. Of course, they don't. Let's see. Of course, we don't actually see a reaction to a Luke betraying them. I'm wondering if they're going to do a flashback to that. Let's see if them telling her this. But at the very least, we do get to see everyone's reaction. Okay, how do we tell her that Luke's gone rogue? So yeah. Well, I was a bit surprised they did a bit of a teaser for with Percy and Annabeth dancing, which is going to get a lot of shippers excited, I think. But let's see. I suppose we should be glad that the next season's coming out this year. I suppose it makes a lot of sense that they would do this, since time-wise, Sea of Monsters and Titan's Curse happens in the same year. So season 3, arguably, you probably want Percy and Annabeth to look very much the similar, or our characters look the similar age as they did this season. So I think it makes sense that they would try and do these episodes back to back and all that stuff. Arguably, I wouldn't be surprised if production is sort of started at the very least, but yeah, at the very least, we're going to get this year. Since it's the beginning of this year and sort of towards the end of last year that the season played out, I have to guess we're probably going to get some time in the autumn to winter. And other than that, let's see. It's interesting that they decided to do a post-credit scene with Cersei honoring Annabeth and Percy with that France training program, because it's accelerated. My guess is just for her to save face, but arguably I figured since they did Paul Blowfist being turned to stone as a post-credit thing, they figured they needed something here for this. But granted, they covered all the things in the books. They did this original thing. I'm curious to wonder what will happen, given the fact that Hilla is basically supposed to be, you know, the future queen of the Amazons, but I guess that depends on if they're going to do Heroes of Olympus after the last the Percy Jackson book TV series, but who knows. Overall, if I had to give this a score, I'll have to give it I think I'll give it a 7 to 7.5 out of 10. I think one hand, I do like, let's see, sort of the moments that you have with Sally Jackson at the beginning, moments with Clarice. I do like some of the action at the end of battles, but I will admit, I guess I'm a little disappointed with how Tantalus was taken out. Let's see, and how the battle was sort of cut short once Thalia was revived. I thought that was a bit anticlimactic. Disappointing of the season. Granted, there's still some good moments like Luke and Percy fighting Tyson coming in. I guess, but there's also like a mix on like the dream bit of like Percy and Poseidon talking, given the fact you didn't get to see Tyson interacting. Arguably, I can see why they skipped the chariot. I think some people are going to be disappointed that they didn't get to see Annabeth kiss Percy on the cheek in this show, but yeah. But there else. But I do think the saving grace of the very interesting twist is the fact that Zeus is the one that turned Thalia in the tree. I'm not sure how many book readers are taking this, but it'll be very interesting to see how this plays out next season. But yeah. Anyway, that's my thoughts on the show. I hope everyone who listens to the review enjoyed what I say. I apologize. Let's see, for everyone. I apologize for anyone who ends up watching this and then having to see 3 minutes of silence, but I guess that's what happens when your mother calls you, though I will admit I did not expect her to call this late. But, oh well. But I'll probably put in the description of what time to, like, skip, given... and all that stuff. But nevertheless, I hope everyone who enjoys this review will join me next time, as well as the season, will join me next time as we discuss season 3 when it comes out later this year. But for now, I am Blue Star Saber, signing off. Thank you, everyone, and goodbye.